How did a single factory on the outskirts of Melbourne transform the Australian agricultural landscape and build a town that still stands as a testament to one man's vision? Imagine a factory so advanced and influential that it didn't just build machines, it built a town and set new standards for industrial communities. Welcome to the Sunshine Harvester Factory, Australia's very own Detroit Motor City. But with wheat, this is the story of the Sunshine Harvester Works, once the largest agricultural implement factory in the entire Southern Hemisphere. Before the Sunshine Harvester, Australian farmers harvested crops using nothing more than primitive tools like scythes and reaping hooks. It was painstakingly slow work, requiring immense manual effort and entire communities to bring in the harvest. Farmers would harvest for weeks to collect what modern harvesters can gather in mere hours. As Australia's population grew, these manual methods simply couldn't keep up, and many feared that food shortages were on the horizon if a faster solution wasn't found. But along came H.V. McKay, a man with a dream and a relentless drive to transform agriculture forever. Born on a small farm in Drumarton, Victoria, McKay knew firsthand the backbreaking labour of harvesting grain. H.V. McKay began his manufacturing career on his family's farm. Initially, he worked out of a small blacksmith shop before building a new, larger facility next to it to accommodate his growing business needs. In 1885, he developed his first successful combine harvester, which revolutionised grain harvesting in Australia. This invention laid the foundation for his future success and the establishment of the Sunshine Harvester Works. By 1896, McKay was manufacturing his Sunshine Harvester commercially in Ballarat. However, he faced challenges with distribution and transport costs. To overcome these issues, he decided to relocate the entire operation. In 1904, H.V. McKay bought the Braybrook Implement Works, a strategic location right on the outskirts of Melbourne. This move wasn't just about space, it was about logistics. At the time, Australia's rail system was notoriously inefficient. Each state used a different rail gauge, meaning that trains would have to stop at state borders, unload their cargo, and transfer it to another train just to continue the journey on a different track. This created massive delays and increased transportation costs. McKay realised that by relocating to Braybrook Junction, he could gain better access to rail networks and ports, enabling him to streamline transportation, cut production costs, and expand his reach beyond Victoria. In 1906, McKay made a bold move, relocating his factory from Ballarat to what would become known as the Sunshine Harvester Works. Covering over 30 acres of factory floor space, with steel foundries, carpentry shops, and testing facilities all under one roof, the Sunshine Harvester Factory wasn't just a factory, it was an industrial marvel. And thanks to its proximity to Melbourne's rail and port networks, McKay's machines could now be efficiently transported to farmers all across Australia, overcoming the logistical challenges of the fragmented rail system. But McKay wasn't just thinking bigger, he was thinking smarter. He was an early adopter of vertical integration, ensuring that every part of his machinery, from the smallest bolt to the largest castings, was made right there in Sunshine. By establishing steel foundries, paint shops, carpentry areas, and testing facilities within the factory, McKay created the most self-sufficient factory in Australia. This wasn't just smart business, it was the key to dominating the market. Here, McKay didn't just build machines, he built a town. Braybrook Junction was renamed Sunshine in 1907, a name that would become synonymous with high-quality farm equipment and a pioneering spirit. McKay's new factory wasn't just a manufacturing hub, it was a marvel of industrial design and self-sufficiency. By 1910, the Sunshine Harvester Works was buzzing with over 1,500 workers producing world-class farm machinery. And the factory kept growing, expanding to a massive 75 acres by the 1920s and employing over 3,000 workers at its peak. But McKay's ambitions didn't stop at the factory gates. He believed in creating a model town, a place where workers and their families could thrive. Inspired by the Garden City movement, McKay's Sunshine wasn't just a place to work, it was a place to live and grow. He planned modern housing, community centres, and the iconic McKay Memorial Gardens, a green oasis for workers to relax after a hard day's work. Schools, parks, and even a community hall dotted the town, fostering a strong sense of loyalty and community spirit. Sunshine was not just an industrial town, it was a blueprint for what a company town could be. In 1907, McKay found himself at the centre of a landmark legal battle, the Harvester Judgment. It was a case that went beyond factory gates and straight into the heart of Australian labour rights. The Harvester Judgment set a new standard for fair wages across the country. Judge Higgins ruled that workers deserved a fair and reasonable wage, one that could support a man and his family in decent living conditions. This ruling established Australia's first minimum wage law, setting a precedent that lasted nearly 80 years and made Sunshine a beacon of progress for workers' rights. When World War II broke out, the factory's male workforce left to serve in the military. But the factory didn't slow down. Women stepped up to fill the gap, taking on roles traditionally held by men, operating heavy machinery, working in the foundries, and assembling vital equipment. By 1943, women made up nearly 40% of the workforce, showcasing their skill and resilience in the face of war. The Sunshine Harvester factory continued producing agricultural machinery, as the demand for food to support both the home front and troops overseas remained high. Simultaneously, the factory shifted part of its production to support the war effort, manufacturing military equipment such as artillery shells and specialized parts for military vehicles. This dual production helped keep the factory operating at full capacity, despite the challenges of the war, ensuring that both the agricultural and defense needs of the country were met. After the war, the factory continued to dominate agricultural production. But by the 1970s, economic pressures and global competition began to take their toll. In 1955, the McKay family sold the business to Massey Ferguson, a rapidly growing global agricultural machinery company. Massey Ferguson, formed from the merger of Massey Harris and the Ferguson Company in 1953, had established a reputation for pioneering innovations like the three-point hitch system. By the 1950s and 60s, Massey Ferguson had become a major global player, competing directly with John Deere and International Harvester. Acquiring the Sunshine Harvester factory allowed them to establish a strong foothold in Australia, enabling them to manufacture and adapt machinery specifically for the unique agricultural needs of the region. However, this acquisition led to a series of ownership changes and gradual downsizing. By the late 1980s, the Sunshine Harvester factory, once the pride of Australian industry, closed its doors for good. Most of the factory was demolished, making way for what is now the Sunshine Marketplace. Despite the site's significance, it wasn't heritage listed because many of the buildings had been significantly altered, reducing their historical integrity. Combined with the economic pressures, the land's commercial value outweighed preservation concerns. Today, you can still see the original factory gates, the imposing clock tower, and the beautifully landscaped H.V. McKay Memorial Gardens. They're more than just remnants. They're monuments to a time when industry and community were one and the same. Sunshine has changed, but the legacy of the Sunshine Harvester factory lives on. Though the machines have gone silent, its impact echoes through the town, the nation, and the world of agriculture. It was more than just a factory. It was a catalyst for change and a beacon of progress.